The royal class is a special class in the temple, which is a school that helps train top talent in the empire. This class is filled with very gifted students, the best 1% in the whole empire. The main character is shocked and confused that he got into this high-level class. He's actually a 30-year-old web novelist who, because of his past life sins, ended up reborn as the 17-year-old son of the Demon King. Now he has to survive at this academy until the end. Strangely, this world is based on a novel he wrote with a doomed ending. Somehow, he now has to live past that ending and survive. The Demon World War is a long, fierce battle between demons and humans, meant to decide their fate. The war finally ends when the hero, Artorias, defeats the Demon King, Valier, bringing peace. But after such a hard, drawn-out conflict, the Empire needs to put great effort into training future talent. This leads to the creation of a special academy for the best students across the Empire, known as Temple. In Temple's royal class, a class filled only with highly talented geniuses, there is a boy named Ludwig. He is fair-minded but hot-tempered, yet he always ranks last. All of this story is actually written by the main character, a web novelist. After he uploads it online, he gets so many hate comments that he suffers a heart attack and dies from high blood pressure. To his surprise, a Grim Reaper soon appears and gives him a strange, shocking choice to make. The Grim Reaper explains to him that when someone dies, they must atone for their major sins before entering heaven. For him, these sins are quitting multiple serialized stories and writing plots with terrible continuity. Normally, this wouldn't be such a big deal, but he did it so many times that it became a serious issue that can't be ignored. To atone, he must pick one of his completed novels, where he will be randomly reborn as one of its characters, and he has to survive until the end of the story. Realizing he has no choice, he goes through his list of completed novels and finds that all of them end far from happily. As he checks each one, he can already picture himself dying quickly in every single story. Then he comes across one of his novels titled The Demon King is Dead, a slice-of-life academy story set in a fantasy world. Compared to his other stories, it seems less dangerous, making it his best option, even though this was the very story that led to his death in the first place. Still, he figures he has a better chance of surviving here. Since he'll be reborn as a random character, he hopes he won't be the main character. He'd be happy as long as he's just one of the academy students. He tells the Grim Reaper his choice, and suddenly, he's transported into the story. As he glances around the classic-looking room, he realizes he's already inside his novel, and notices that he now has horns on his head. Suddenly, a status window appears, showing his information, and he realizes that the name Valier Jr. sounds oddly familiar. He also notices that he is labeled as the lowest-grade Demon King. Piecing it together, he remembers the novel's title, The Demon King is Dead, and realizes with shock that he is actually the Demon King in this story. Before he can process it all, a massive attack hits the royal castle with a powerful explosion, sending him flying across the room from the shockwave. Then, a quest window pops up, informing him that, with the Demon Realm army's defeat close, his mission is to escape the Demon King's castle alive. Since he's currently powerless, he has to flee to survive, and he'll earn achievement points if he makes it out safely. He can't believe what he's seeing, surrounded by the corpses of fallen demons. The reality sinks in. He has truly entered the novel he chose, just as he wanted. But instead of being a regular academy student, he's stuck in the heart of the crumbling demon realm, reborn as a character who never even appeared in the original story. He is now the prince of a collapsing demon realm on the brink of extinction. As he sprints through the castle with all his strength, he can't help but think the Grim Reaper tricked him. She'd made him believe this transmigration might actually be a reward, but now it feels more like a punishment. He wonders why he had to become the son of the Demon King, a character doomed to die from the story's very beginning. The reason the castle is exploding is because the Demon King and the hero are locked in their final battle. In the novel, both of them die here, and the war ends with a human victory. Realizing his grim situation as Prince Valier Jr., he knows that if he's caught, he'll be killed without hesitation. He glances at his status window still hovering beside him and checks his stats, which are far from impressive, especially considering he has no combat abilities at all. With no other options, he decides to try the castle's warehouse, hoping to find something useful. But as he steps inside, he sees it's mostly filled with junk. Just as he's about to lose hope, a magic scroll book catches his eye. He quickly opens it and finds a teleportation spell. Desperately, he tries to activate it, only to find it doesn't work. The spell is blocked by a movement magic barrier around the castle. Frustrated and feeling doomed, he considers whether begging for his life might work, though he knows it's hardly a realistic option. He flips through the magic scroll book again and finds a camouflage spell. Desperate, he decides to try it, transforming himself to look like a human prisoner, hoping it will be enough to fool anyone he encounters. His escape plan is to blend in as a prisoner, infiltrate the human group, and wait for the Imperial army to rescue him along with the other prisoners. He believes this is his best shot at getting out alive. However, as he reaches the area where the humans are held, he's horrified to find that they have been brutally killed. Shocked, he realizes that this gruesome scene was never in the novel he wrote, which was supposed to be a lighthearted, rom-com style story. Soon, Valir notices a blonde-haired girl sitting in the corner, crying softly. Feeling a bit awkward but knowing he needs to keep up his prisoner disguise, he approaches her. Trying to stay in character, he asks if she would like to come along and escape the castle with him. She looks up at him and, to his surprise, doesn't immediately reject him. Instead, she tells him to come sit next to her. A little confused, Valir does as she asks, feeling strange in the process. To ease the tension, he pulls out a biscuit from his pocket and offers it to her, asking if she would like to share it with him. The girl hesitates for a moment before nodding and taking a bite. As they sit there together in silence, the sounds of footsteps approach. The door to the prison opens, and guards enter, followed by a nobleman. Valir looks up, expecting trouble, but to his shock, the men bow deeply in front of the blonde girl. "Your Imperial Highness," they say, their voices filled with respect. Valir's heart skips a beat. The girl he had been talking to, this prisoner, is actually a princess. Her name is Charlotte de Gardias, the first princess of the Gardias Empire. At that very moment, a notification pops up on his status window. "Mission cleared," it says, followed by a reward, 100 achievement points. At the Imperial Army base, a group of armored knights stands assembled in front of the tents. Valir remains close to the Imperial princess, having been rescued alongside her by a noble lord. He tries to stay calm, but he's filled with worry. He's a demon in disguise, using a basic camouflage spell. If the princess's mage decides to cast a dispel spell to check for any curses placed by the Demon King, his identity will be exposed. He can't slip away either. Too many people are watching over him, ensuring his safety. What worries him even more is that the princess, Charlotte de Gardias, never appeared in the original story. He never wrote her as a character. Nearby, a knight named Sir Lance approaches, bowing politely as he informs the princess that they've managed only a modest meal. She assures him that it's enough, and he adds that they'll escort her back to the Imperial Palace as soon as Duke Solarian arrives. The princess expresses her gratitude to Valir for his actions back in the cell, leaving him slightly puzzled. He recalls doing very little, yet her appreciation seems heartfelt. She inquires about his origins, intending to arrange a safe journey back to his homeland. This unexpected question puts Valir on edge, and he scrambles to think of a plausible answer. As he searches his mind, it feels as though the names of familiar regions have slipped away, leaving him momentarily blank. He notices Sir Lance's sharp gaze fixed on him, a subtle impatience in his eyes. Feeling the pressure, Valir decides to feign memory loss. To his surprise, the princess readily believes him, her expression shifting to one of empathy, imagining the hardships he must have endured. With a gentle resolve, Princess Charlotte assures him of her commitment to help him until his memory returns. Valir responds with polite thanks. Sir Lance tries to caution the princess, hinting that she shouldn't promise Valir anything, but Valir knows her promise may be meaningless in the end. He realizes that, even if she wants to help him, she likely won't live long enough to do so. After all, he never included anything about prison cells in the Demon King's castle, and now he suspects that some unseen force has automatically filled in details to flesh out this world and make it feel logical. If the princess is indeed part of this mysterious backstory, Valir fears that her life is already in danger. He created Virtus, the Imperial Prince, to be ruthless and ambitious, a character who would do anything to secure the throne. Knowing how Virtus operates, Valir is almost certain that the prince won't allow his sister to survive. She's simply an obstacle to his rise. Valir feels an urge to warn the princess about the dangers surrounding her. He hopes that by winning her trust, she might stand by him when something unexpected occurs. Just then, Princess Charlotte asks Sir Lance to fetch the doctor, saying she feels a bit unwell, likely from eating too much. Sir Lance hesitates, voicing his concerns about leaving her alone, worried for her safety. She brushes off his concerns, insisting that with the Demon King dead, there's no danger. Reluctantly, Sir Lance leaves to find the doctor. As soon as they're alone, Valir notices a shift in the princess's demeanor. Her expression turns serious, more intense than before, and she addresses him in a tone he's never heard from her. She unexpectedly apologizes, her words formal and direct, and then, to his shock, she tells him that he will die because of her. Valir is stunned, struggling to process her words and the drastic change in her behavior, feeling as though the princess before him is someone completely different. The princess continues, explaining that if things remain as they are, her half-brother, Virtus, will likely have her killed soon. She suspects that many of the soldiers here are loyal to him, and their confining her to this camp likely means they don't want anyone outside knowing she survived her time in the Demon King's castle. Valier recalls that when they were rescued, they were both covered in thick, long robes, which would have made it difficult for others to identify them as survivors. The princess adds that the soldiers are probably awaiting orders on how to handle her, likely planning to kill her, and later claim she perished in the Demon King's castle. She warns Valier that he is at risk as well. If they kill her to erase any evidence of her survival, they will also eliminate him as a witness to her rescue, ensuring no one can contradict their story. Valier considers the possibility of seeking help from the knights, but the princess quickly dismisses the idea. She tells him it's no use. She doesn't believe there's anyone among them she can trust. Still, she reassures him, promising to stay by his side until his memory returns, determined to help him escape as well. She outlines a bold plan. They will find a way to escape the camp. Her tone is steady, but urgent, as she explains that she'll create a distraction, buying him just enough time to make his move. There isn't much time, and she warns him that if he fails, it could cost them both their lives. Valier steps cautiously into a tent, his eyes darting around to ensure he isn't seen. Anxiety tugs at him as he wonders why the princess has given him such a challenging task so abruptly. Earlier, he'd asked Princess Charlotte if she truly intended for them to sneak out, to which she replied affirmatively, saying there was only one way to escape alive. She explained that they would need to bring Sir Williams Francis with them. Although Valier recognizes the name, he keeps his expression neutral, pretending not to know who the knight is. Charlotte then clarified that Sir Williams was the one who rescued them from the Demon King's castle. As one of the rare neutral figures, he is fiercely loyal to the imperial family, rather than to any one faction. Valier understands now why she wants to bring Sir Williams. His loyalty to the crown means he could be trusted to help them without betraying their whereabouts to Virtus's men. Valier voices his concern, questioning whether Sir Williams Francis can truly be trusted. He points out the possibility that Sir Williams might secretly be aligned with the prince. Princess Charlotte counters his doubt, reasoning that if Sir Williams were loyal to the prince, he would have killed them back at the Demon King's castle rather than saving them. This action, she explains, confirms his loyalty to the imperial family, rather than to any one faction. Valier finds her logic convincing and agrees to follow her plan. Princess Charlotte, visibly relieved by his agreement, picks up a dining knife, intending to use herself as a decoy to create a diversion. Alarmed, Valier insists they can't put her at such risk, arguing that it's too dangerous for her to draw attention. She calmly replies that she should be safe for now, at least until they receive explicit orders to deal with her. Princess Charlotte tells Valier to hurry because they don't have much time. Valier knows he can't back out now and has no choice but to go along with her plan. She walks out of the tent and asks the guards if she can look around the barracks. The guards seem nervous and try to stop her, but she insists that she is the imperial princess and has the right to inspect the base. She starts asking them questions to keep them busy while Valier sneaks out of the tent. Once outside, Valier feels confused. He doesn't know where to begin looking for Sir Williams Francis. The camp is big, and he has no idea where the knight might be. He looks around, hoping to spot someone who can help him find Sir Williams, but time is running out, and he knows he has to act fast. As Valier stands there trying to figure out his next move, a knight spots him and asks what he needs. Valier answers that he is looking for Sir Williams Francis. The knight looks at him and replies that Sir Williams has already left for the Demon King's castle, asking why Valier is looking for him. Valier is taken aback by this news, surprised to hear that Sir Williams is not around. The knight then explains that Sir Lance, the knight who had been with Princess Charlotte earlier, had requested Sir Williams to go help eliminate the remaining forces at the Demon King's castle. Valier is stunned. He knows Sir Lance is closely aligned with the princess, and he wonders if Sir Lance had anticipated something like this happening, even though he wasn't told about the princess's plan. The knight, noticing Valier's confusion, asks him why he wanted to speak with Sir Williams. He offers to help pass along a message if it's not something too confidential. Valier quickly tells the knight that it's an emergency and Sir Williams is in danger. The knight immediately reacts, saying they need to go and save him. But then, the knight stops and looks at Valier, clearly confused, asking what he means by that. Valier, realizing he needs to be honest, decides to tell the knight the truth. He admits that he doesn't know all the details, but someone is trying to harm both the princess and Sir Williams, and that's why they need to bring Sir Williams back right away. Valier hesitates, acknowledging that he's a stranger, and the knight might not trust him. To his surprise, the knight looks at him with a serious expression and says that even though he doesn't know who Valier is, he trusts him. Valier is not convinced and asks the knight why he is acting this way, since there seems to be no reason for it. The knight replies that there actually is a reason. He says that Valier sounds so desperate that he almost seems foolish. The knight also mentions that he has a feeling this situation might happen. He explains that Sir Williams expects something like this and has ordered the knight to be ready, as someone might come looking for him. Valier is shocked by what he hears and starts to wonder if Sir Williams knows about the hardships the princess might face. But then, he thinks to himself, if Sir Williams knows all of this, why does he leave the princess behind and go to the Demon King's castle? He should stay by her side. Dyrus then asks Valier if they are ready to go, and he also asks if Valier has ever ridden a horse before. Valier immediately replies that he has never ridden one. With that, they both walk over to Dyrus's horse. Dyrus introduces himself to Valier, saying his name is Dyrus. At the same time, Sir Lance is watching them from behind a tent. Dyrus and Valier are seen riding the horse together. As they ride, Valier notices some demons that are captured. He asks Dyrus about them, and Dyrus explains that they are prisoners. He says that this means the demons have been captured, and they could either be remnants of the enemy forces or non-combatants who weren't fighting. Dyrus goes on to say that they are still searching for more demons around the castle. The captured demons will likely be taken to headquarters and executed soon after. Valier realizes that he might have ended up like those demons as well, captured and imprisoned. Soon, they arrive at the checkpoint, where they meet some knights. Sir Dyrus salutes them and introduces himself. He then explains that Valier has an urgent message for Sir Williams. The knight looks surprised when he hears this, and replies that he just received a report. The report says that Sir Williams was killed by remnant demon forces during a reconnaissance mission. Valier is shocked by what he hears. He wonders if Sir Williams is really dead, killed in action as the report says. The knight, his face filled with sorrow, curses the demons as he expresses his grief over Sir Williams's death. Valier, standing nearby, realizes that with Sir Williams gone, there is no one left to help Princess Charlotte. This realization weighs heavily on him. The knight then asks Valier if there is anything he needs to know about the message. Sir Dyrus, who had been quiet up until now, immediately replies that the message was supposed to be relayed personally to Sir Williams. With that, they are given permission to head back. As they walk, Valier is deeply troubled. He feels a sense of unease. Remembering how everything seemed to be going too well earlier, something doesn't sit right with him. He wonders if it's true that Sir Williams was killed by remnants of the demon forces, but he can't believe it. He knows that Virtus, the Imperial Prince, wants Princess Charlotte dead. If she truly escaped from the Demon King's castle, Virtus would do everything to cover up that fact. He would make sure to eliminate all witnesses. And since Sir Williams was one of those witnesses, it becomes clear to Valier that Sir Williams must have been lured into the Demon King's castle so that he could be killed, making it all part of a larger, more sinister plan. Valier, feeling the weight of the situation, continues to wonder what he should do next. He doesn't want to give up yet, but the odds seem overwhelming. Sir Dyrus, sensing Valier's hesitation, finally tells him it's time to be honest. He urges Valier to explain why Sir Williams is in danger and how Princess Charlotte is involved. Valier hesitates, unsure whether he can trust Sir Dyrus. Charlotte had warned him that most of the Imperial forces are loyal to Virtus, and he's uncertain if Sir Dyrus might be one of them, even if he's a higher-ranking knight. Valier doesn't know if Dyrus has connections with the low-ranking officers who could be loyal to Virtus. But with no one else to turn to, Valier decides to tell Dyrus everything. He explains the truth, that Sir Williams is likely dead because of a betrayal from their own knights, not demons, and that the princess is in grave danger. Dyrus listens carefully and, after hearing everything, confirms his understanding of the situation. He acknowledges the possibility that Sir Williams was killed by their own men. Then, to Valier's surprise, Dyrus states that he will support the princess. He explains that he belongs to William's company and feels a strong obligation to help. Valier, though still uncertain about trusting him completely, agrees. He figures Dyrus could still be useful, especially if he can help with the escape. In this dangerous situation, Valier knows they need all the help they can get, even if he can't fully trust the knight yet. As Dyrus suggests that they should head back, Valier stops him, his mind racing with an idea. He tells Dyrus to wait, proposing they head to the demon supply storage to loot anything that could help them escape. Dyrus, though uncertain, follows his lead as Valier insists that, despite the storage being mostly ransacked, there might still be something useful if they look hard enough. They make their way to the storage, and Valier's instincts guide them to a few hidden items that could prove valuable. After some searching, Valier finds a scroll for mass teleportation, along with several other scrolls bundled together in a book. He knows these will be crucial for their escape, so they gather them up. Valier feels a sense of relief, knowing that this could be their ticket out of the camp. However, as they prepare to leave the storage, Sir Dyrus notices something strange. He's puzzled by how Valier knew exactly where to find the scrolls, especially considering that Valier had claimed to be a prisoner. Dyrus doesn't ask, but a small suspicion starts to form in his mind. Before they can leave, the sound of approaching knights causes them both to freeze. The knights are searching for them, clearly looking for any sign of their whereabouts. Dyrus and Valier quickly hide. It turns out that the knights who are searching for Valier and Dyrus are from Duke Solarian's house. Valier feels worried because this is becoming a big problem. House Solarian is Virtus's maternal family, and it is one of the most powerful families in the Empire. Their goal is to make Virtus the next emperor. The power and influence of House Solarian are much bigger than most noble families, so their knights are not ordinary knights. Valier starts to think that these knights could be the same ones who killed Sir William. As the knights continue searching for them, one of them shows a strange ability. This knight has a supernatural eye that can sense where Valier and Dyrus are hiding. Knowing they have no choice, Valier and Dyrus reveal themselves to the knights. When the knights see them, they prepare to fight. The knights draw their swords, ready to kill Valier and Dyrus because they are supporting the princess. Dyrus quickly pulls out his own sword and stands in front of Valier. He tells Valier to stay behind him because he is ready to face the knights and protect them both. Valier can't help but think about everything he did to escape from the castle, only to end up here, about to die. It feels like all of his efforts were for nothing, but then, something catches his eye. He notices a statue with red, glowing eyes. His mind quickly remembers that it's a gargoyle statue. He recalls seeing them in cartoons or video games, knowing that they're supposed to start moving in situations like this. Before he can think any further, a loud sound echoes through the area. The gargoyle statue begins to move. The knights are shocked, and so is Valier. The gargoyle smashes through the air and strikes the captain with one powerful blow, crushing him instantly. Everyone is stunned, not expecting such a violent attack. Valier, too, is taken aback, though he had just been thinking that gargoyles usually come to life in these kinds of situations. Seeing the chaos, Dyrus quickly grabs Valier and pulls him away, using the confusion to escape. This is their chance, and they're not going to waste it. Dyrus and Valier are riding swiftly on horseback, the sound of hooves echoing as they hurry through the night. Valier reflects on the events that have just unfolded. When the status window appeared, he noticed a skill called Control Demon, and he wonders if it's because he is the Demon King's son that he possesses such a skill. It suddenly hits him that he must have unintentionally activated the gargoyle with this Control Demon ability. However, there's no time to dwell on it now. In the distance, Valier notices a group of knights pursuing them, determined to prevent them from reaching the woods. He scans their surroundings, searching for a way to escape. His eyes land on the scroll book he carries, and an idea sparks in his mind. Flipping through the pages, he finds the haste spell and quickly casts it. The horse surges forward with newfound speed, and Valier and Dyrus soon create a wide gap between themselves and the knights chasing them. Just as they begin to feel a moment of relief, a bolt from a crossbow suddenly shoots toward them. Valier realizes he needs a stronger solution to deal with the knights from House Solarian. He quickly considers a better way to handle the situation, but before he can put a plan into motion, he recalls that these knights are highly trained to resist magic. He knows that relying on spells won't be enough to shake them off. Given this, he understands that he'll need to think quickly and carefully if they are to escape safely. Valier focuses on the scroll book, aware that the knights are closing in. He calmly reassures Dyrus, telling him that he is not casting magic on the knights themselves. Instead, a purple glow begins to emanate from the scroll. Valier casts an illusion spell on the horse, manipulating its appearance to make it look like it's galloping faster, while the knights, resistant to magic, remain unaware of the trick. One of the knights' horses stumbles and falls, throwing off its rider, confirming that the spell worked. Encouraged by the success, Valier quickly follows up with charm spells, targeting the remaining knights' horses. The charm affects several of them, and their riders lose control, making them falter and fall behind. Now only 2 knights remain in pursuit, but Valier and Dyrus are not out of danger. The horse they are riding is exhausted, its pace slowing with each step. The knights are getting closer. As panic begins to set in, Valier's eyes catch a group of demon prisoners being transported nearby. A strange sensation rises within him, one that reminds him of the moment when he unconsciously awakened the gargoyle statue. Then, a sudden red glow appears in the eyes of a large orc from the group of prisoners. Without warning, the orc charges forward, pouncing on the knights who are closing in. The orc's powerful form crashes into the knights, obstructing their path and creating chaos among their ranks. Valier, stunned by the unexpected turn of events, realizes that this is their chance to escape. He urgently urges Dyrus to ride faster, knowing that this opportunity may not last long. Dyrus can't help but feel a strange sense of unease. Every time they are in a dangerous situation, it seems like demons intervene to help them. It's too much of a coincidence to happen twice, but he knows now isn't the time to question it. Their priority is getting the princess to safety. They finally arrive at the princess's tent, but the guards prevent them from entering. Dyrus, quick on his feet, decides to take a more direct approach. He swiftly neutralizes the guard, clearing the way, but the noise attracts attention. Realizing they've been discovered, Dyrus urges Valier to go ahead with the mission while he stays behind to hold off the knights. Valier enters the tent and is met by 2 mages who are standing with the princess. The mages immediately express their anger at the intrusion, having clearly been given strict orders to prevent anyone from entering, their eyes narrow, clearly hostile. Without missing a beat, Valier tells the princess to close her eyes. He quickly casts a flash spell, blinding the mages temporarily. With their vision impaired, Valier seizes the opportunity. He rushes to the princess, taking her by the hand. Knowing they don't have much time, he activates the mass teleportation spell and now has no choice but to use it. He specifies the destination, Gradium, the capital of the empire. A light blue hue shines on the spot with a huge magic circle as the base. The next moment, the system notifies that Valier has cleared the prologue sequence, unlocking a special achievement known as the Turning Point in History. A character like Princess Charlotte, who should no longer exist at this point, has actually survived, and the future has been greatly altered. Valier also receives 1,000 achievement points. In the main story of this novel, the Demon King is dead. The setting takes place in Gradium, a city that is based on Seoul, the place where Valier lives. Valier and Charlotte manage to teleport to Gradium. When they arrive, Valier is completely surprised. The city looks nothing like what he expected, and he is shocked by how detailed everything is. It's much more real and vivid than he imagined. Meanwhile, Charlotte feels confused because the environment has suddenly changed. She quickly realizes that they are now in the middle of the capital city. Valier explains what happened to her. He tells her that Sir Williams is dead, and it was Dyrus who helped them escape. Just then, Dyrus appears as he emerges from the teleportation channel, confirming Valier's explanation. Valier feels relieved that the plan went as expected. Dyrus successfully escapes with the teleportation scroll, just like they had hoped. Afterward, Dyrus properly introduces himself to Princess Charlotte. He then begins to explain everything that happened, including how they managed to infiltrate the Demon King's castle, gather some scrolls, and how they were saved by an unexpected intervention from the demons. As Dyrus continues, Princess Charlotte grows suspicious. The story seems odd, and she can't help but glance at Valier, who also feels that something doesn't add up. After walking through the market square for a bit, Valier suddenly slips away from the crowd. He finds a quiet spot to sit and begins to think about his situation. He feels frustrated by his inability to buy food or anything else, wishing he had known more about the world. He even thinks to himself that he could have added a setting to the game system, like demons can live off mana alone, if he had anticipated this. To his surprise, a notification appears in his system window. It tells him that he can indeed add this setting to the game system, but it would require 100,000 achievement points to do so. The notification also mentions that he can make changes to the plot of the story, giving him some control over the world around him. Along with this, a list of active challenges appears, each one nearly impossible for him to complete at the moment. However, these challenges offer a way for him to earn achievement points. However, Valier is not allowed to undermine the plot of the story. Any attempts to do so will result in penalties, deducting achievement points from him. This rule makes him cautious about how he interacts with the world around him. Curious, Valier checks the list of active challenges and spots one titled Scribe's Advice, which requires 150 achievement points. He decides to take it and, after following the advice, he learns that he should visit a magic item shop. Thinking that he might need to sell the scrolls he has found in order to survive, Valier heads to the nearest shop. When he arrives, he tries to sell the scrolls, but to his surprise, the shopkeeper immediately chases him away. It feels as though the shopkeeper believes he is trying to scam them with fake scrolls. Valier finds this behavior odd and wonders why the scrolls are being treated with such suspicion. Not discouraged, he moves on to another shop. This time he shows the scroll to the shopkeeper, who seems intrigued. The shop owner asks him if he can try tracing another scroll, commenting that Valier draws pretty well. If he can do that, they could split the profits from selling the scrolls in half. The shop owner then adds that if Valier can finish tracing the scroll by the next day, he will be paid 5 silver coins. Valier agrees, although he can't help but wonder why nobody seems to recognize the scrolls he looted from the Demon King's castle. Feeling suspicious, he decides to try one more shop. If they still don't recognize the scrolls, he'll just sell the fireball scroll and call it a day. He heads to another shop, and when he enters, he finds the place to be messy and empty. However, as he looks around, a red-haired lady walks in behind him and asks if he is a customer. Valier responds that he wants to sell some scrolls. She tells him that she doesn't buy scrolls, but she can't just let him leave with them either. Instead, she offers to pay him 2 gold coins, but when she sees the scrolls, her expression changes. She becomes serious, and her eyes lock onto him.